Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Lotta and today I am going to talk about this Seeknit Koshitsu interchangeable needle set. When I decided to try these, I tried to find reviews on YouTube, but I didn't really find any. I just found a few videos where knitters were quite briefly talking about these needles. So now, when I have been using these a while, I thought that I would make a review myself to help you guys out there who are considering buying these needles. And well, actually I need to tell you one thing, because when I had bought these needles or this set, like 2 weeks after that, Seeknit launched their curve set. And first I was like, oh no, such bad luck. But after using this a while, I thought that, I don't mind. These are really good enough for me. Because in the curve set, they have, or Seeknit has anyway, they have improved some details that people have had, problems with in this Koshitsu set. But I will tell you more about that later. So then at first I'm going to talk about the good things about these needles and this set. First of all, I just think these look so beautiful. I love especially this golden detail here where the cable connects to the needle. These are just so nice to look at. And if you're a person like me who loves beautiful things, then these might be something for you. And then I also like the cable, because this cable doesn't have memory. It rotates, or the cable can rotate as well. And I really like it. So that's another good thing about these needles. And then they feel really light in your hands. And I have tried this with different yarn. Here I'm knitting this Sophie scarf that is Petite Knits design, and here I am using 2 strands of fingering weight merino, and I think the yarn or the loops glide quite nicely on the needles. And then I have also tried knitting with wool yarn, and I think the wool yarn glides even better. So this has been a nice experience as well. And then I'm also knitting the Maggie cardigan, which is also Petite Knits design, and here I am using 2 strands of silk mohair, and the stitches or loops glide really nicely on these needles as well. Yeah, and then, well, I like the Seeknit needles, especially if you're knitting with like really small needles up until like maybe 5 millimeters, because I also tried knitting with this bulky alpaca yarn. Here I am knitting a unicorn sweater for one of my daughters, and I made the swatch with Seeknit needles, and for some reason this bulky yarn didn't glide at all on the needles, and I don't know if it was because of the yarn or the surface on the Seeknit needles, or what it was, or if the needles were not sharp enough. But anyway, I didn't like that experience, so I decided to knit this sweater with Shiago metal needles. Yeah, and well, what else? If you compare to the curve set, there are two things that are different. One is that in this Koshitsu set, you have 3 different types of cables. The 3 different connectors. So this small connector, this smallest one, is for the smallest sizes until 3.5 millimeters. And after that, you have connectors, or like this this cable that is for 3.5 up until 5.5, I think. And then you have this for the biggest needles. So in the curve set, you only have 2 sizes, these 2. So in the curve set, you don't have this at all. And you know, in this set, this might be a bit confusing. But when you get used to that, I think it's fine. And then, well, in this Koshitsu set, people have had problems with the yarn or the loops getting stuck here. So in the curve set, this part is smoother. But one thing what I love about interchangeable needle sets, like overall, is that you can choose to have a smaller needle size in your left hand, especially if you knit in the round, and that makes the whole process so much enjoyable, because you don't have to, you know, make this movement where you like push the needles or pull the needles to your right hand. And this problem with the yarn getting stuck can be solved with that, because I have knitted, or you know, I have used a smaller needle in my left hand, so I haven't had that problem. And well, if you're knitting like with a 3.5 millimeter needle with this set, and you want to have a smaller needle size in your left hand, then you have to take the smallest cable and put an adapter there, and then you can connect the 3.5 millimeter. So you have to like do things and remember things, and it might be a bit confusing in the beginning, but once you get used to it, I don't think that's a problem. Yeah. Did I remember to tell you everything? Well, yes, like the only bad things is knitting with bulky alpaca yarn, and the fact that you have 3 different types of cables, but you can live with that. And then I need to tell you also that in the curve set, you don't have this beautiful golden detail. So, but I hope that this video helped you a bit to decide whether you want to buy Seeknit Koshitsu needles.